Understanding your personal capacity is essential to a high quality life. Capacity is both mental and physical. In the moment you become overwhelmed, you know that you've gone beyond your capacity. This is not a bad thing because this gives you the information that you need in order to make the change so you don't continue to get overwhelmed. And in the future, you get overwhelmed less and less and even add more and more capacity so that you can lead a harmonious life. Welcome to Build with Rob. It's your boy, Rob Dyrdek. You know what it is. It's the show we're talking about all things automatic, systematic, trying to lead you as the guy that is all about that design, automate, optimize way of life, who is really um, preaching just happiness, right? And creating systems and having clarity in your life and continually assessing all aspects of who you are and how you use your time and energy to just lead you towards leading a happy, harmonious, high quality life. That's really what this show is about. Um, if you are a brand new listener, welcome. For those of you that listen to the show on a weekly basis, it's just a rant. It's another thesis connected to the overall thesis that is the machine mindset and the ability to control and live any reality that you want. It is the truth that you get to design it. You're the one that created it. Today, wherever you're listening to this podcast, you put yourself there. Nobody else put you there. And however you're experiencing this and whatever you take from this, it is based off of the life that you've created thus far, and anything when it comes to this type of content where it's just sharing little nuggets and different things for you to think about. Um, you know, you're just trying to hear one or two things that you can apply to your existing system, just to make it better so that you can push yourself to a better future experience, as I like to say, and one of those really, really big things for me is capacity. I talk a lot about it as it relates to sort of your time and your energy, and how it's sort of bound by your capacity, and capacity is this sort of tricky thing because it is different for every single person, but I am simply define it as like what you're capable of before you're overwhelmed, and to me, when you look at it through that lens, man, it's so much easier to digest and think about because you just know, like you can reflect on your life and you really understand all aspects of when you're in a nice rhythm and everything is flowing and where you feel on top of things versus how crushing it feels when you are overwhelmed and begin to lose faith in the decisions you've made and where you're currently at and the goals that you have and the stuff that you're working on, like, man, like what managing capacity has and means to your mental health is so significant because you're experiencing this entire journey that is life through your mind, and when your mind gets overwhelmed and you just, man, your decisions get bad, your choices become erratic, like you overcorrect, you shut down, you create the doubt, the insecurity, all these negative things that go into your mind is primarily a result of being over capacity, right? And there's two forms of it, right? It's the physical capacity, right? And that one's a lot easier to like judge. It's like how much time you have, when you can actually do something, right? You just have a certain amount of time in the day that you can physically do anything. And then now, okay, if that kind of becomes sort of sort of core construct of physical capacity, you know that, like, when you go from thing to thing to thing and now you're late and you got to go over to this, like, you're creating strain on the system because you've taken on or committed to too much. That's where the physical side of physical capacity can really um wreak havoc on your existence, right? And that's why, I the importance of designing time and really understanding what you're actually capable of, and sort of making sure that you don't just try to do all these things and try to commit to things that you don't have the time for, and or not take care of yourself, so the things that you have committed to, that you just don't have the energy for. That's where that sort of physical capacity gets strained. And then what can you do? What can you do? Well, if you like sleep better, that you're gonna have more physical capacity. If you take care of yourself and eat right, these things, all contribute to giving you more capacity. Like when you design your time in a way, this is how you create more capacity and the ability to do more things and do them more efficiently. In the purest of the design, automate, optimize sort of mentality, it's like really, the more things that you can automate, the more capacity that you get back. When you can hire somebody to do something for you, you're gaining more capacity and being able to do more. Like these are all sort of the sort of pieces inside capacity from a physical standpoint that you can continually add to your overall system in order to be able to do more and be able to look out for when you get caught and get pulled down by it, right? And for me, it's like it's the how important that rhythm of life is and that design of your time. You're really just trying to make sure that you can do it all without getting overran by it, and then trying to automate as many things as you can to reduce the arbitrage of time that goes into doing things physically. Why have somebody come to my house and cut my hair rather than going through the process of scheduling appointment and then like driving to it and then getting a haircut and then driving back. Like even when I think about that, it seems so excessive, like, and that's like, that's normal. That's just normal. You know what I mean? And when I think about, how as I've um gotten more efficient, more successful. I just keep hiring more bodies to give me back more physical capacity, you know what I mean? Like if that's, washing clothes and cleaning the house, shopping for groceries, all of these things for me are in full systems that are operated that give me back more time and ultimately physical capacity to do more. And that to me is you know one of the guiding gauges of whether or not it's worth spending money or investing in more bodies and more systems, is the output, is how much capacity that you have, right? Because when you get um, overwhelmed, life is not fun. It's like literally it doesn't matter how great of a life that you have, how organized, how systematized, how everything, all your goals, your fulfillment, your self-worth, all these aspects, you're super motivated, but if you're overwhelmed, it literally pulls everything to a dead stop and makes it feel like nothing's worth it the moment you're overwhelmed. And that's why it's so important to begin to be aware of your capacity so that you can feel when you get overwhelmed, look at like what's causing it and how can you put a solution back in place that does not allow you to be overwhelmed again. Is so important because it really takes a toll on you from the mental side, right? Like mental capacity is just this like um much more difficult thing to sort of gauge, but you know when it happens. It's like your mind just has a limited amount of range of the things that it can think about. And make no mistake, the healthier you are, the better you sleep, the better you eat, the more you take care of yourself, the better your time management. Like all of these things of time and energy management, like give you more physical and mental capacity, right? The more organized and clear your plans are, you're getting mental capacity back, right? And when you get overwhelmed in your mind, that is when like things really, really go off the rails, right? And in the sense of how important capacity is, And for me, it's like when in my um, earlier days when I was really trying to figure out the systems and understand everything and like continually would take on things and underestimate how much time, energy that they would take from me. And then a handful of life things comes at me, and then boom, I'm overwhelmed. And then I'm overwhelmed and I'm singing, take the money and run. I'm out of here. Like, why am I doing all this stuff? It's like it's a house of cards is your mind. And protecting its balance is essential to living a high quality life and allowing your mind to get over capacity, and then that house of cards come crashing down, is something that you've got to learn to get better and better at making sure that it doesn't happen. And it's not like I don't believe you can completely eliminate it. You got to think of, man, I got systems on systems on systems. I have this beautiful rhythm that I run, and like, man, life still comes at you. And, you got to think like one bad thing happens or mismanaged expectation or something goes wrong, and man, you could get boom overwhelmed like quickly. And part of like understanding your own capacity um also gives you the confidence and understanding that, okay, I am over capacity here. Like I got to dig my way out of this, rather than when you're not aware of it, like it you begin to look at not like yourself as a whole and like, hey, I'm just overwhelmed by everything. You start to get real granular on what you think is the reason you feel this way, rather than looking at it more general, that like, hey, collectively all these different things that I'm doing in my life have now driven me to a place where I just can't compartmentalize it and think about them in a clear way because I'm now overwhelmed. Man, you'll point it at one thing. You'll point it at one thing, and it'll be like, I was trying to do this like side hustle. In my case, it's like, oh, I shouldn't even be working on this project right now. And it's something like a week ago. I'm like, this is incredible. This is like the sickest thing ever. This is gonna be such a game changer. Like I get overwhelmed. It's like that's the one thing I shouldn't be working on. It's like you can just think, like lock in on like the thing that you super granularly that you think is the thing that's overwhelming you, when in fact it's your overall capacity has been breached and why you now feel overwhelmed. And it's not just a single thing, it is a collection of different things in your life. And you got to think of the layers of your mind share that can drive being over capacity, right? It's like you could just like, for me, like it's procrastination when it's like an email sitting in the email box that I know I've got to like respond to, but it's gonna take more energy and thought to put a thoughtful response together. Like I don't have the time to put that thought. Man, when those begin to stack up on me, they're sitting in the back stealing capacity from me. And then all of a sudden there's something to do with one of the kids, and like they're sick, and now you got to kill a meeting that you were already behind on because you got to take your son to the pediatrician. It's like bam, like you're now it's these little life things that together stack up and get you to where that evening you get an email about the project that you were working on that something went wrong and then you're immediately, it's that project's fault. I need to stop that. I should have just ended that. Even though a week earlier it was like, this is going to be incredible. This is a game changer. Which is basically like my life. Like I go through these like extraordinary highs of like these ideas that I have are like, this is the one. Here we go. On an ongoing basis. But, you know, that is more this idea of capacity has all these different layers to it. And but, yes, you could look at all of these different things that created and overwhelmed you, and maybe it is that project that I was working on. And sometimes, it's not necessarily the project, but it's the mind share that I need to dedicate to that project right now. And then I will look at that and be like, if it's a series of events and I know that um like I'm overreacting, I'm just feeling overwhelmed, I'll let it burn off and just try to slowly reorganize myself. But if the same sort of thing that overwhelms me, it's the same thing over and over, it keeps popping up, then you really have to address that. Like if there's a specific thing that is taking up so much mind share and that it keeps driving you over capacity, then you really have to take that information and apply some sort of system or solution to stop that from happening, right? Because, nobody wants to ever live in an overwhelmed feeling. Like it really is you know it really is where like hopelessness lives, and like feeling stuck and feeling like why am I doing any of this, man? That it lives inside the world of overcapacity, right? And for most people, you're trying to do a lot of different things at once, and it's part of, being ambitious or wanting to achieve goals or do more or live a bigger life, or a more fulfilling, more exciting, more fun life, because you got to think of the toll that, like partying on a weekend can do to your capacity. Now you've drained yourself physically, and so now you're physically drained, so you're mentally drained, and now the razor's edge of before you get overwhelmed is a lot tighter. Your capacity now is so has shrunken, and then something hits you and boom, like you feel it immediately, and then man, it turns into I need a full lifestyle change. I need to diet. I need to eat better. I need to forget about just like you just like drank too much 3 days ago. Like you're now like, I need to move. I need I need a better lifestyle. I need friends. These friends are the reason like I'm always like scattered and lost. It is the power of how all of these different pieces interconnect to make up the whole of your physical and mental capacity, which you have to get good at managing and understanding when you have hit your limit, and when you're getting up to the edge of the limit. Like I really, for me, like I will, you know, like have like things locked in that I know I have to do, and then I will feel myself get pushed up to the edge of starting to feel overwhelmed, and then I will just push things out. I'll look at the schedule and be like, what are all of the things that I can push forward that aren't going to have any consequences to sort of my short-term needs, that I can like take some pressure off the edge to get back capacity, and that to me is almost what I would consider is like the step beyond becoming aware of your own personal capacity, then doing everything you can to maximize your capacity, then getting to a position to where you can now monitor that capacity, and when you begin to feel pressure on it, take the steps to make the short-term changes, that allow you to gain back um, more capacity and get order before you get overwhelmed again, like everything else, that I preach as it relates to you are this, fully integrated multi-dimensional system. Like, you get better and better at understanding this and using this and doing this with time. It's hard at first to even understand that, your capacity issue is what's making you feel overwhelmed, because you haven't even like began to put structure in the beginning of like what are all the moving parts, and how is just a few little things going wrong created this bigger global issue that is your whole life seems to be in disarray, when in fact it's just a few things stacked on top of each other that makes it feel like the whole is wrong. And you get better and better at understanding that with time, but it is essential for you to start thinking about and become aware of, no different than being aware of energy, and like, okay, does this give energy or take energy? Like, am I pushing towards about to be overwhelmed? Am I doing too much? What can I reduce in the short term to gain back capacity? What can I adjust in my own system that could take effort and energy out of something to get back more capacity? It's just something that's super important that you continue to always look at and understand, and add it to that thing in your toolbox that is another thing that you've got to really master and really begin to understand, um, because you do want to get to a place where you are just so rarely overwhelmed. Like, you only wanna get overwhelmed when it's, like, extenuating circumstances that have really derailed, something more significant in your life that you can attack and handle, and know that it's pushing you to the edge, but it's temporary. What you just cannot tolerate in your life is to continually, allow yourself to get overwhelmed by the same things over and over and over again. It's no different than, what's the definition of crazy? Someone doing the same thing and getting the same, expecting a different result. It's the same with your personal capacity and you getting overwhelmed. Like, if you are continually getting overwhelmed by the same thing, and you don't build the awareness to know that you need to put in a system or solution to change it so you don't get overwhelmed by it, you're crazy. You're a crazy person. Simple and plain. Simple and plain. Because, like, the moment you have the awareness, and now it is your choice to understand that I can't keep acting like this, or I'll keep feeling like this, yet you continue to act like that and keep feeling like that. That is a crazy person, and I do think it's a skill set that you learn over time, and like everything that I preach, you're really just trying to continually get better and better and better as you grow and evolve, and the world grows and evolves around you, and getting better at managing time, getting better at managing energy, like getting better at mastering yourself, and a huge part of that is really truly understanding your own personal physical and mental capacity, so that your sort of limits, and you can self-regulate and take pressure off yourself to avoid ever getting overwhelmed, because then you will stay way more consistent at being harmonious and happy for longer periods of time. So check in on that. Check in on your capacity, and know that it is a huge and important part of your happiness. Okay, thank you as always for tuning in to the end. Tuning in to the end. Again, wherever you listen to it, like, subscribe, comment, connect with us, because everything that we preach down here is look out into the future, create a path towards that better future, and do everything you can to make sure that future becomes a reality. Until next time, see it, believe it, do it.